Hello and welcome to today's meeting of Democrats of Greater Tucson. My name is Larry Bodine and I'm the president. Our guest today, cartoonist and editorial writer for the Arizona Star, David Fitzsimmons. He is syndicated in more than 700 newspapers. He's been the editorial cartoonist and writer for the Star since 1986, when he was only 30 years old. And of course, he's known as the fastest draw west of the Potomac, but some people refer to him as the flaming moderate at the fringe of America's center. He just started a newsletter 4 days ago. I highly recommend it, and you can find all about his exciting life. So for instance, he started off the year and had COVID for 3 weeks, and that was followed up by his retirement in February. And then next, it gets even better. He was riding his bike, fell off and woke up in the ambulance with a concussion. In May, he got a stent put in, but we all know it's all going to turn out well, and we wish you health and happiness, David. He's got a radio show coming up at the Rialto Theater on December 18. And with that, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that touching introduction. And I don't know if you want to risk it. If you want to unmute everybody else, I'm completely comfortable with that. I'm really not happy unless I'm being heckled or yelled at by folks. I'm so happy to be here with you. As I was saying earlier, before this originally started, this is a group with which I feel so comfortable. I hope you aren't insulted when I describe you as normal human beings. And that is in contrast with other political groups, your opposition, we'll call them, that I've had the pleasure of addressing, in which I feel very uncomfortable. So it's wonderful for me to be here among you normal folks, even normal folks like Larry himself, Mr. DGT. And, you know, I've watched DGT through the years, and I have to congratulate you on your growth. And I also have to congratulate you looking at these beautiful, wonderful faces here. You're a serious, real organization, unlike in the distant past, which some of you may recall, but I do not. Why do I not recall? Because of the bike accident. It happened when I was riding my bike along and I saw an alien spaceship and out stepped this character whom I still can't quite seem to draw quite well. His name is Blake Masters. I'm so glad I didn't waste much time trying to learn how to draw this man's face. He's such an odd looking character, but enough with that. He's gone. Thank you so much. I also want to apologize in advance for the incoherent nature of my presentation, and that is because I am still recovering days later from a hangover Saturday night visiting liberal friends of mine. When we saw the results come in for Senator Kelly and others, the fact that the Senate was held, my friend broke out a 30-year-old bottle of whiskey. And I hadn't had alcohol since the stent. I think I'm still intoxicated, but it was worth celebrating. Ah, the red tide, right? Here it is. There's the red tide. Right there. Can you see that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, the reason I have an editorial page editor is because editorial page editors worry about images being misunderstood. For example, in the past, an editor would have said to me, "Is that the elephant's trunk?" Yes, it's the elephant's trunk. This is the happiest sight I'm picturing right now. This man at Mar-a-Lago seeing the loser on his forehead. I am so happy about that because I was terrified of the man. Now I can be terrified of Carrie Lake for the next couple of minutes. If any vote dump comes across Maricopa County, feel free to interrupt me with the good news. I don't know if I can take so much good news, or I don't know if the President of the United States can take so much good news. But it's a pleasure to draw that happy old man's face. And considering that we're in the same age group. I guess I should refer to him as a Solon rather than an old bird. Hey, thanks for helping to turn Arizona somewhat blue, bluish, purplish blue. Close enough. A sight I never thought I'd see. Speaking of which, turning Arizona blue. Sometimes I make drawings for myself. For this heathen, it's a form of prayer. So this is my prayer today, that Liberty's torch would keep these candles lit for these candidates whom I admire so greatly. I don't have a scintilla of objectivism about these four individuals because they are remarkably, well, here's something peculiar to say. They are competent individuals, competent public servants with expertise. How strange is that? So please, Hoffman, Hobbes, Engel, Mays, candles lit. Go, sisters, go. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you personally in the clumsiest way I can. And also, I have to say, I'm thinking of my daughter when I thank you. Because my daughter lives in Phoenix, has 3 kids. She's a 37-year-old adult. She's joined 3 politically active groups, including the Democratic Party. She penned postcards, she canvassed, she petitioned, she did it all, like each and every one of you. So I got to see up close and personal the work, the sacrifice you all give to our country. And so I think there should be in the town square a statue devoted to each and every one of you who stuffed, knocked, marched, networked, canvassed, planted signs, organized, and especially those who went the length, the distance of parrying with lunatics. Even though you knew you were wasting your time, even though you knew you were slamming yourself in the forehead with a rubber mallet, you did it anyway, and I salute you. Before I proceed with more nonsense, I want to take a look back at the year. What a blankety blank year, said the cartoonist. In the spring of 22. So long ago. Man, I enjoyed watching the Cyber Ninjas. I gotta digress here. It astonishes me the tolerance on the right for clowns. You know, whether it's candidates who are dumb or just plain flippant ignorant, or this type of lunatic circus-style nonsense like the Cyber Ninjas. Is it cool to be a real live Cyber Ninja? It sure is. Hey, ain't ninjas sneaky assassins? Who are we assassinating? Democracy. Democracy is who they're assassinating. And I am still reeling from the news this week that such a good number of American patriots grasped the threat to our democracy. Wow. At the beginning of the year, it was allergy season, and I thought it was going to last longer than usual. It seems there's a fair number of Arizonans who are allergic to pollen, ragweed, maybe even mesquite pollen. Some are allergic to public education beyond my comprehension or understanding. I am public education's #1 sap, sucker, supporter, and shill. I love public educators. And it might be because I'm married to one. Teachers make great life partners. I learned this on our honeymoon, because teachers make you repeat an exercise until you get it right. That was painful, wasn't it? I apologize. Arizonans, some seem allergic to minorities. And if this individual saying that resembles a certain individual from Flagstaff, yes, it is that human pine cone, Wendy Rogers. Oh my God, Wendy Rogers. I couldn't even make the time to write jokes about her because I found her belief system so terrifying and unnerving in the United States of America today. And of course, the last fellow, Mr. Stop the Steal, the many Arizonans who are allergic to the idea of democracy because they swooned over a reality TV star. I was pretty unnerved this spring. And then the primary came along, and the Republican Party went all in with Trump. They voted for the QAnon, big lie, insurrectionist, white supremacist, anti-Semite, fascist, neo-Nazi, Christian nationalists. They voted to end democracy, which I had a schizophrenic response. This cartoonist was delighted. I love drawing these clownish figures. This American patriot, this son of the American Revolution, 11 relatives were colonial revolutionaries, including one who threw tea into the Boston Bay, was so distressed over the candidacy of these individuals. Just terrifying. I summed up the transformation of the Republican Party from 2000 to 2022 this way. I did get a number of people who asked me what those symbols were on the elephant's back, and I understand. I should have made them more clear. Those are wing nuts. Is my favorite phrase. It's the kindest phrase I could come up with to describe these individuals. You might see my posts on Facebook or Twitter from time to time. Here's one. I love when you hear polarization. I don't believe there's political polarization in America. I think that's bullshit. I don't think it's polarization opposite ends of the political spectrum. I think there are those who accept evidence grounded in reality and those who deny reality. That's all it is. If there's polarization, it's the sane versus the mad. This is such a hopeful cartoon. I hope this is true, that we've defeated Marxism, fascism, communism, Maoism, Nazism, imperialism, and I hope this signals the end of Trumpism. Thanks to each and every one of you in DGT for your contribution. Royal Cafe. I created the Royal Cafe in the Arizona Daily Star because sometimes there are some issues so complex they need a context. So I created these figures in a diner chatting about these issues. And one of the figures says, I've got some bad news and some good news. Well, what's the good news? Well, what's the bad news? First bad news is Arizona's far-right fascist Republican Party's gone totally batty. Oh, really? Well, then what's the good news? The good news is Barry Goldwater and John McCain are spinning in their graves like hydro turbines, generating enough power to light up Arizona's grid through 2050. Onward. Hi, I'm Blake Masters. And we are Blake's Masters. PayPal, Trump. I want to be your master. The millionaire who will look out for America's billionaires. I'm sure, like myself, each and every one of you is just astounded that this strange, bizarre, loony candidate got even one vote. It's astonishing to me. How is Biden like Alexander Hamilton? He'll never get the credit that he's due. I think he's been a remarkable president. I think the Inflation Reduction Act was an impressive achievement among many others, and particularly when you contrast it with the grand achievement of the Republican Party in the past 2 years. Oh yeah? Well, I came up with this super clever chant. Let's go, Brandon. Lake. Da-da-da-da. Ask yourself, why won't Katie Hobbs debate me? Maybe it's because the voice is in her head. I think that's why she didn't debate her. Chaos at the border. Lived here much of my life. Never experienced chaos. Been down to the border. Seen the mass arrests. Chaos at the border. It's interesting how immigration is an issue that gets pummeled and beaten every election cycle. And the issue, I believe, is kept alive by Republican intransigence because it's the perfect issue for them to frighten their ignorant, ill-informed, racist voters with. Immigration. It's just evil, their attitude toward immigration. I hold them all responsible for the countless deaths that we experience out in the desert west of our beautiful city. I have my own great replacement theory, says Rosa in the Royal Cafe. What's that, Rosa? Either we replace every power-hungry racist pundit and politician with sane leaders, or our diverse democracy will be replaced with a country none of us wants. Just a theory. Can I get some sugar with that cup of reality? Oh, no. Yeah. Where's the crime in 2022? Well, that was a huge issue. Huge issue. The crime, it was on the ballot. Take the criminal Mark Fincham. When gerrymandering and dark money weren't enough to give Trump the win, you're going to want his thumb on the election scale. Wow. That's going to be a great Thanksgiving at his home. Aren't we all grateful that none of us are going to have Thanksgiving in the home with Mark Fincham? Can you imagine how his family must be so fed up and done with him yammering on with his bizarre theories endlessly? Let's go sit on the front porch, Dad. The election of 2022. Vote to preserve your democracy. Vote to save our union. Vote to save fascism. Vote to take back control over your own bodies. And the argument on the right, hey, the dollar ain't what it used to be. I'm so grateful that the greater arguments apparently won out. Here's how I saw the ballot. You have a choice: sane human being or lunatic, normal person or wingnut, reasonable citizen or fanatic, rational soul, intelligent candidate, informed American, or ignorant dolt. And Arizona voted. Kind of an interesting mix, I think. Normal person, reasonable citizen, totally off the rails, rabbit troll, and informed American. There once was a con man named Trump who cost his party a red slump. With each ballot cast, democracy held fast and sent Donnie's tools to the dump. So proud of that. And that concludes that PowerPoint. Wasn't that a merciful PowerPoint? I'm proud of how merciful that was. And now, 10 points. Let's see how fast I can sketch some of these. Point number one. I think the Republican Party is due to shrink, and that is because the hardware store down the street is eventually going to run out of wingnuts. Point two, being delusional does not qualify you from running for office, but in Arizona, it disqualifies you from winning. Number three, the most positive, surprising headline out of Arizona this year: no poll workers were shot or injured in Arizona. Bless their brave, good souls. Number four, the great red tide turned out to be as mythical as unicorns, elves, and the belief that Republicans know how to fix an economy. Number five, here is to Adrian Fontes. See, put this up where y'all can sort of see. It's not bad. There we go. There, I hope you can see that. Here's to Adrian Fontes, who knocked Mark Fincham, Arizona's cross between Alex Jones and Festus, off his sawhorse. If you watched the debate like I did, I'm certain you were as impressed as I was by Mr. Fontes as a candidate. What a remarkable, fine candidate that individual was and is. Number six, I'll bet Breakmasters is glad this election is over. A space commander beat a space cadet. I got to say, the one thing I love about Mark Kelly, and I've shared this with him, and it's maybe one of the few times I've seen him smile, so I point out, he's the only candidate who looks very much like Charlie Brown as an adult. And here's an instance where a space commander beat a space cadet. Oh, thank you so much for running. I have a tip for Peter Thiel. Next time, program your androids to look and sound human. 7, and this is not Arizona, but still, when I saw this candidate's victory speech, I was profoundly moved by his prose, his patriotic language. And as a liberal, a progressive, I heard him speak aloud sentiments I felt like I hadn't heard in my lifetime. And that would be Mr. Fetterman. There's Mr. Fetterman over here. And Quack, that's a duck. You know who that is. Fetterman. Who knew a guy who looked like the wizard would beat an Oz? Cute. All right. Fetterman. Okay, there we go. Number 8. There once was a liar named Lake whose BS was too much to take. The voters said no. Ask Fox for a show right after you jump in a lake. How hopeful I am, right? And this is the headline I'm praying for right here. You see it? Hobbs hobbles, Trump bobblehead. Please go, Katie, go. Go, Katie, go. Go, Katie, go. I hope she beats Lake, simply because Lake ran a race that was lower than Herschel Walker's IQ. And I have to say that for me, well, let me jump ahead here to point number 9. The United States of America has 5 Great Lakes. Kerry is not one of them. And point 10, aren't you proud of Arizona, a state where a competent public servant has a shot at winning against an incompetent public servant? And now I'm going to torment you with a couple of more images. Oh, one more limerick. Election day came without a red tide. Voters said no to those who lied. Patriots held fast with the votes they cast. And thanks to you all, Trumpism died. See what an optimist I am? Here you are, Pima County's Democrats. Each and every one of you who participated. I think of you as honorary sons and daughters of liberty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to celebrate some other individuals. This guy, this kid, Andres Cano. He's in the House. What a great candidate. And this guy, this college genius? He's what, 12 years old? Oh my God, I got to give it up for the Young Democrats. And this is the chair of the Pima County Young Democrats, James. God, Young Democrats, our saviors. Oh, love you. And next week, I think I'm going to take next week off because I think I'm going to go to Florida and watch Democrats and a number of Republicans apply for asylum, hoping to be flown to Martha's Vineyard with a victory. And I will close with this because I know you want to go to lunch and you might want to ask me questions, or you just might want to chat among each other and talk about different whiskeys to celebrate this election with. This guy, my old friend, Rex Scott. Love Rex. His election analysis should be really interesting and insightful. And I know that also Rex may talk about some schemes he's got going to pump up the vote even more so. Well, those drawings and my nonsense aside, I just want, before I take questions from you, I just want to briefly repeat my gratitude for you and to each and every one of you for what you have done. I am, by my position at the Star, prohibited from directly participating politically with you. But hey, full retirement is looming in the future, so perhaps I will. I wished I could have, but this sideline observer and satirist is eternally grateful to you, because I was and am one of those who feared for our beautiful, wonderful republic and the ideals of our American Revolution. And my heart beats a little bit steadier today. and my heart's a bit fuller today because of your efforts. And for that, I am grateful. And now a vote tally. Sorry, I was just distracted. Did you see the chat at the bottom? There's a vote tally. What's the latest? Oh, I want Fitz on my Canvas team. I don't know. I think I would just terrify people if I knock at the door. Let's say, who's this Hobbit? What's he doing here? Hobbs 50.5 to 49.5. Whoa, with 93%. Oh, how could it be so close? Okay, sorry, I'm digressing here. Back to the gratitude. Thank you. At this point, I'd be so happy to take questions from my friends. Feel free to fire away.
David, let me reflect all of that gratitude right back to you. All of us here at DGT, we love your work. We love all your rhymes, and you can't retire on us. It just can't happen. So I recommend you go to the University of Arizona and get yourself cloned and have a series of them in advance so we can see your material forever. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
And all the wonderful traditions you've created here in Southern Arizona. Bless you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for your kindness. And thanks for having me as a guest.
Absolutely. We've got a number of questions. Let's first turn to Andrea Kennedy. Ask away, Andrea.
Hi. Thanks.
Love your voice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, about Carrie Lake. What do you expect from a woman who wears knockoff Manolo Blahniks? How much do we have to thank NPR, talking to the younger people, and people like Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers, who informed people and were funny? And I wondered how much credit is due to them for the turnout this year.
Those are wonderful points, Andrea. I wonder if somehow we're related somewhere back in Ireland, because I share your perspective on this point. Number one, I want to sing the praises of NPR because I'm one of those who annoyed my 3 kids with NPR constantly on the radio in the car and here at home because I work at home. And they'd bitch and they'd complain, and can we listen to something else? But now all 3 are adults who, when they come over and come to the door, they want to tell me what they just heard. Did you just hear what I heard on the radio? Were you listening to NPR? And it's like, yes. So I am so grateful to those media outlets that gave us the facts and stood tall and strong against the terrifying propaganda, the terrifying BS. And Andrea, secondly, you make a very good point that I share that argument when I have spoken to journalism classes in the past, that perhaps John Oliver, Trevor Noah, Samantha Bee are the news vendors of the future. And I think underlying their success, from my point of view, is the fact that most young people are pretty good at lining up news sources through their internet thingy they got on their phony thingy that they use. Like my daughter does, both, like all 3 of my kids. In fact, I have 3 children, 1 of each. Great old joke. And they rely on a mix of media. They don't look at my newspaper. They don't watch evening newscasts, but they are NPR and podcasters. And I think that the humorists of our day are a perfect answer to the highly partisan news sources that are out there. And I wonder if we ever return to any kind of normalcy in terms of objective news sources, if maybe the reliance on satire will fade. But I personally don't think so. And I hope not. I'm going to assume most of us are smart enough to determine the difference. Thanks for that great question and those wonderful points, Andrea.
All right, let's turn to Paul Stapleton Smith. Go ahead, Paul.
Indeed. Thank you. And David Fitzsimmons, you're amazing treasure to us. When you think about what you were just describing with audience demographics and how news is sort of curated by folks, what are the greatest challenges now for you, David? Overall, what must you consider now?
That's a good question. I will speak only for myself. When I first began drawing cartoons in the 80s, back when Edmund Minkum was in the world, there were the news media were, well, maybe, the major networks, CNN was new, and the newspaper was subscribed to by a fair number of Southern Arizonans. These days, the newspaper, I think, is subscribed to primarily by progressives and liberals. Most right-wingers jumped ship long ago on the Arizona Daily Star because they weren't happy with the reporting they were getting in the Star. So they turned to other media like Fox News. I do find myself oftentimes preaching to the choir at this point in my career. I do not get the same level of hate mail or death threats I used to get. The exception to that is courtesy of syndication. I'm syndicated to 700 sites worldwide, and so I will get hate mail from, I shouldn't laugh. I will get hate mail occasionally from places like Texas and other outer planets. That's always very enjoyable. And then I'll get fan mail from Denver, from the Post, or from someone who's a reader of the Washington Post. But editorial cartoonists, we tend to, and I've talked to the other remaining 18 editorial cartoonists in the United States today, that we pretty much, and even my conservative friends who are cartoonists, we preach to our choir, unfortunately. It's just become the nature that the partisan divide, the tribalism is so deep. It's, it's kind of divided up our media as well. And thinking about the future for myself, when or if I do retire, what I will do is I will shift over to what's called Substack, and people will be able to see my work through an email subscription service, which I will grow because I just cannot stop doodling. As I remember one of my daughter's friends asked me, when are you ever going to retire? Are you ever going to retire? Please don't retire. And I said, they'll get my pen when they pry it from my dead cold fingers. That sounded hostile, didn't it? We all need therapy.
Very Hestinian. Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we've got Lucy Messing. Go right ahead, Lucy.
Thank you, Larry. Hi, David. Welcome. We really enjoyed your presentation. Couple of things. One, Andres Cano was elected the minority leader in the House, and I thought I'd share that with you. And Terry Bagwell always says hi. And just wondering if schools ask you to come out anymore to talk to kids or anything like that. Do you still go out to schools?
Yes. And in fact, I went out to a school last year in the, I can't remember, I think it's Continental. No, it's not Continental Ranch. It's a community north of the Santa Rita Mountains, south of the city of Tucson, a wonderful middle school. And it was a new teacher. And it was breathtaking seeing his devotion to his kids as a 7th grade social studies teacher. He was just awesome, this kid. He was so impressive. And I think maybe he hadn't got the memo about do not invite controversial speakers into your classroom. And that is because, that's my conclusion, because I had not been invited back into classrooms ever since Dolores Huerta spoke her mind frankly at Tucson High School, and Republican legislators overreacted, went nuts, and there was a chill in the district here and nearby districts towards speakers who were political or controversial. And I was viewed as political and controversial, in spite of the fact, I have to say, when I do go out to schools, my talk is not truly political, other than I try to persuade young people that politics intersects with their lives and they should be aware of that, and they should be political creatures. They should express their political views. And also I talk about the Constitution, why the Constitution exists, and what the ideals of the American Revolution are. So that's typically my school presentation, but I guess that could be highly controversial, particularly these days. I wonder if Tom Horn's going to get reelected. Ugh. I digress. Good question, though. Thank you for that. Thank you, Lucy.
All right, and following up is our own Joe D. Joe Danishevsky. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. We've got a question from one of our newer members, George Beverly. And his question is, why do you think that minorities running for office in Arizona do not get the same news time as other Democratic candidates?
That's a good question. I really, I don't have a good answer to that, because I rationed my consumption of news after I got a stent. So from the primary on, my news sources were print, the Arizona Daily Star, a little bit of NPR, and I would find candidates on YouTube that I was curious about. That's a very good question. That's a question I will leave to smarter folks than myself to estimate. I do know that my editorial page editor, the wonderful Kurt Prendergast, exhausted himself, as you all did, this election cycle, by attempting to interview just about every candidate he could in Pima County who was running for office here, whether it was school boards or legislative seats. Yeah, I know that he tried to give everybody there a fair shake, but that is a point that I am very conscious of, the issue of race. And I can tell you for myself, it's one of the reasons I am sad about the end of Editorial Cartoonists for the most part, because it would have been my hope that when I would retire, it would make perfect sense for me to be replaced with a young Latina voice or a young Latino voice. Because a minority viewpoint can speak with a moral authority on issues that others of us, no matter how well-intentioned we may be, cannot. Man, that was a long-winded answer. And I'm kind of impressed with my ability to avoid saying anything substantial. But I appreciate your point, George. Thank you.
All right, let's turn to Jeannie Christie, longtime member of the DGT board.
Hey, David, it's so good to have you back at DGT. I have a quick question. Did you do your calendar for 2023?
I did do my calendar.
Yay!
Yeah, I did do my calendar, and it is only available through one avenue, and that is online, the Arizona Daily Star newspaper website, and you have to scroll down the left menu to that horrifying word, merchandise. And that's where you can click and order it online with PayPal or your credit card. I wish it was sold at a physical site. Maybe it'll be distributed at the Tucson Festival of Books. I don't know, but yeah, there's another calendar, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Yeah, I'm happy with the drawings.
Thank you. I've been a longtime fan, and I get extras for friends, other friends who are fans as well. They make great Christmas presents.
Thank you.
Alrighty then, we've got Joe Danishevsky back again.
I do have a last question for me, unless there's others in the chat room.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really important. Do you think, has anyone ever seen our Nemesis Lake without a filter on the camera?
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Well, I will say that I was astounded by her ridicule. Well, not ridicule. Her distancing herself from drag queens, because I do know for a fact that Carrie Lake is in fact Alex Jones in pumps. So, don't know. Glenn Beck and a moo-moo.
Any
Still
more questions?
laughing. Still laughing because I'm hopeful. Left the group exhausted.
All right. Susie Anderson, you've got your hand up. Go right ahead. Got to unmute. Come on, Susie.
Fitz, do you ever do the Supreme Court? I mean, there is a plethora of yes, joy, of laughter, if you could stomach just even thinking about it.
Yes, I have to say the last time there's our state Supreme Court, which I have not sketched about, which perhaps I should, but our Supreme Court here in Arizona is not all that different from the loony right-leaning court in Washington. The last cartoon I did about the Supreme Court in Washington was the justices having a conversation that now that we've issued our ruling on Roe v. Wade, I guess we should issue a ruling on women's right to vote, because my gosh, if they vote in November, it's all over. Well,
Okay.
that's the optimist in me speaking. I want to say I saw a question that in the chat that would benefit me, and that's about the Arroyo Cafe holiday radio show. I will send Larry a link and information about the show, and he can distribute it with all of you. It's a good show this year, and because AZPM won't be recording us this year, they also won't be censoring us. So we'll be a little bit more, I guess we could say, out of the closet in terms of our satirical liberal politics. And it's a fundraiser for the American Heart Association, and another place where my heart beats, and that's Planned Parenthood. So ever onward, my brothers and sisters. You go, Nan. Good group.
All right. We've got a question from Barbara Madison. Go right ahead, Barbara.
Can you see this?
Yep.
See.
Well, wait, I can see you.
How about the cartoon? Oh, here. I wanted Fitz to see this. I have saved this for, as you can see, it's yellowed with age for a long time, but I thought it was one of your very greatest cartoons about Noel Udall when he died.
Yeah. Barbara, you're giving away our age. We're 22. Well, we're 23.
Yeah, well, I'm 90, Fitz, so it's a long time.
Oh, you rock, sister. You're my new role model.
Anyway, this was great.
I hope
As all of yours are.
Oh, you are too kind. I was so delighted to meet him before he left the world, and to be and to laugh at his charming nonsense, and then also get a note of praise for him I have nailed to my wall. And that cartoon was born out of an event I participated in celebrating his life, where I got to share the stage with Barry Goldwater, who was charming and lecherous with the young co-eds who were his escorts as he was in his wheelchair. And it was a very harmless, kind of grandfatherly, self-mocking lechery that was charming. And then Rose Mofford, an individual with whom I just felt awe, because to me, she was a great American story in that when Arizona rid itself of a dangerous radical, Evan Meekum, I mean this in the kindest way possible, an extraordinary, ordinary citizen, a Little League champ from Globe, Arizona, Rose Mofford, Secretary of State, funny storyteller, no pun intended, rose to the occasion and served the people of Arizona honorably and admirably during her tenure. So I was thrilled to meet her as well. And gosh, I'm windy. Sorry for that long-winded response, Barbara, but thanks for, I'm so delighted to see that cartoon again. And if you're 90, you rock. I hope that you're a chorus girl. Or, you know, in Green Valley, one of my favorite groups are the tap dancing Hot Flashes. I hope you audition, sister. You rock. Thanks for that question.
All right, Joe D, we've got some questions in the chat.
We do. And I think this is an excellent question. Given the generally good statewide results, do you have any thoughts on why the much better corporation candidates lost? And that's from Robert Bolchek.
Oh, I was doing okay, Robert. So you reminded me that two individuals I so admire. I want to talk about them both. They are both highly educated professionals with a remarkable range of expertise. Their political, economic beliefs were rational. What an asset they would have been to the Corporation Commission. I have no clue, other than the fact that, I mean, we've probably joked about this before, that the Corporation Commission is one of the most mysterious, least known governmental entities in state government, but it is so remarkably significant. And I'm going to guess it's just one of those instances where people were voting down the party ticket and they just, Corporation Commission, I don't even know what they do, which is so unfortunate. Sorry, enough lamentations. Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, I've got a question for you, David, and that is there's some really good news coming up for Democrats, I think, on Tuesday, when Donald Trump has announced that he is going to say he's running for president. What are your thoughts about a Trump candidacy?
I am so happy. I hope he does run. And I think this is here's how illogical I can be. So growing up in a military family, World War II vets, at an early age, I was fascinated by the rise of the Nazis. And in fact, for a vacation many years ago, I went to Munich. Dragged my family, went to Munich because I was so fascinated by the seedbed of the Nazis. I am so pleased that this election did not mirror the German election of 1933, in which the Nazis won a fair number of seats. This year around, it appears that the United States is completely, I love that pumpkin. That the United States, the Americans have rejected the extremists in the Republic, the anti-democratic extremism in the Republican Party. And it is primarily because of the poison pill of Donald Trump. So now I'm to the point where I do not fear his candidacy. I welcome it and I relish it. And I'm certain that every other candidate who's running welcomes it and relishes it, except for Ron DeSantis. And he's so easy to draw.
All right, Andrea, have a seat so we can see you and go ahead and ask your question.
It's not a question, but here's the cartoon. I don't know how the hell to do this. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're good.
All right.
Let's see if I can see it.
I can't, here,
I'm not sure.
you can't see the light's not.
Oh, Camelot.
Wait. Yes, it's Camelot. Wait, switch to, why am I not, all right. I don't know.
Just hold it up. There we go. Pull it back a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's
Okay.
it's Jackie
Guinevere-
Onassis. Embrace.
Guinevere returns to Camelot. This was published when Jackie Kennedy Onassis died. Up in the back there is a castle, and there's Jackie and John. And I always felt like this is the real Dave Fitzsimmons.
That's
So did you
You
notice
got me.
it's pretty aged.
You got me.
Oh.
Yeah. My politics were shaped by JFK. My two brothers returning from Vietnam, opposed to the war. And in my high school and college years, I was one of those who was so distressed that the United States did not go in the direction of JFK's dreams, Bobby Kennedy's dreams, or Martin Luther King Jr.'s dreams for our country. But hey, we're zigzagging across that lake, and I think we're heading there again, hopefully, thanks to women and young people. Yay. And of course, one or two of you, okay? Maybe three. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for saving that cartoon. That really warms my stent. It's very nice. Thank you.
All right, David. It's time for us to bring our meeting to a close. So I wonder if you would sum up for us.
Here, I'll sum it up. Here's what I think of each and every, goodbye. Here's what I think of each and every one of you. This is how sentimental I am. I think there's one political party that seems to prize the absence of empathy, and there's one political party constituted of patriots who have a strong spirit of empathy towards their fellow citizens. And for that, I love you and always will. So I'm going to close with that sentimental note. Love.
Wow, David, thank you so much for your awesome presentation. We all had a blast. What a great time.
And it's a whiskey bar, so we can make you feel terrible all over again.
Oy, yeah. I'm a strong man. Thank you. Thank you so
you're
much.
so welcome. And with that, I'm going to call this meeting of Democrats of Greater Tucson to a close. I want to thank everybody for coming.
Thanks, David. We all love you back.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.